What's going on, my friends? Welcome to another Vega 23 episode. Today we're going to show you something a little different. I've done two epoxy signs already. They're roughly about 3 feet by 3 feet. That was like a 3 feet by 3 feet, not five. And I haven't shown you guys the process, and it's quite simple. So today we're going to show you how we mix the epoxy here. And for that, we use the Total Boat tabletop epoxy. So we have part A and part B. These are mixed on a 1-to-1 ratio. So we're gonna grab a small cup here and we're gonna do maybe 600 grams because we don't need that much in order to cover the sign that we have. That is roughly 3 feet by 3 feet. Today we're doing Cubone from Pokemon. So let me mix this for you guys and show you the process, and then we're gonna move forward to showing you what we need and how we epoxy the sign. So I have a scale. You can definitely eyeball this. I prefer to measure it. So we're gonna throw in our cup. It weighs 16.5 grams. We're gonna tare that to 0, and then we're gonna start with part A of the epoxy. All right. So let's do 150. You know what? Let's do 200 grams of each. So we're gonna do a total of 4. Let me see. 190. Okay, went a little bit over. And that's totally fine. So we did 211. Let me show you here. 211 for part A. Now that I'm seeing the amounts, we're gonna go ahead and add a little bit more just to make it 250, and we'll add 250 of the part B. So it's coming, 230, 240. Let's slow down a little bit. All right. Okay. We're at 249. And still 249. Okay. We'll leave it at 249. Now we're going to put in part B and mix it up really good. So we're going to tare that back to 0. Put this one away. And the thing about epoxy is if you don't mix it thoroughly all the way through, and they really mean it, but all the way through, whatever didn't mix inside of this container, it's never going to dry. So just make sure that you take your time mixing it. All right, so let's add 250 of this one. Oh my God. Almost there. $247. I don't want to do too much over. All right, 249.5. That's good. So we're only half a gram over on part B. And I'll show you what that looks like here. 249.5. And you can see the liquids there. Let me turn this off real quick. Kind of separated because one is definitely thicker than the other. So we're gonna mix this thoroughly all the way through. I'm gonna go ahead and grab some gloves. And the reason why, it's because part A and part B are so sticky that it's just annoying, and soap doesn't really do the job, and I don't have like a jabón foca, which is like a powder soap that could potentially help me get it out. And since I want to avoid that problem, we're gonna use gloves. All right, so to mix the epoxy, I like to use a metal spatula, and I take my time mixing this. Yes, I do. Let me bring it up so you can see what it looks like. You see those swirls? That's when it's still not mixed. So a good indication that it's all mixed is when those swirls are completely gone. And the more you move it around, the more bubbles you're gonna get. And it's totally okay because once we pour it, we're gonna use a heat gun to get rid of the bubbles. So don't worry about that too much. Just take your time mixing it. I think that is the most important part about epoxy. So let me finish doing this. I'll show you the final outcome of the mixture here. Starting to look a little milky now, which is totally fine like I mentioned. But those swirls are what you want to get rid of. That means that part A and part B are still not mixed in. And as you can see, my container's a little bit full, so I don't want to overspill. I think I did a little bit more than I should have, which is perfectly fine because I'd rather have extra than to be needing some. All right, so we just finished taking our time and making sure that these chemicals are mixed in properly, so you don't see any more of those swirls moving around in there. So what we're gonna do is let me grab this carefully because it's very runny. If you guys can see over here on this corner of the shop, we have everything closed in, and the purpose of that is to prevent any lint from falling in the epoxy once it's curing. Obviously we're in a print shop, so a lot of ink, a lot of lint flows around here, and we don't want that to get stuck to our piece. Once we're done epoxying this one, I'm going to show you the Charizard and the Jordan 4s that we did with the military blue. So let's get in here. I usually have these magnets to hold the plastic from moving around, but since we're gonna get in here, oh my god, to show you the setup, we have that one coming up next, which is Bulbasaur, Squirtle, and Charmander, and then we have that Pokemon card that we're gonna do at the end. But today we're working on Keybound. So let me go ahead and grab the epoxy so I can start pouring it and move my camera out of danger. Okay, just to let you guys know, I have some squeegee cutouts so I can move the epoxy around once I put it in there, and it's easy to get it off the spatula as well. Some of you guys may be wondering why I didn't use the power drill to mix this faster, and the answer is because I've done it before. And guess what happened? The chemicals were getting so hot that they froze together and the epoxy hardened before I was even able to use it. So I'd rather take my time and do it like I'm supposed to. All right, so this is where you're not supposed to be scared and just let it all out. And I'm gonna use every single bit that I mixed. Now it may not look like I did enough. You'll see here shortly that this is a pretty good amount for about 3 feet of material. And you can spread this freely. It's still fairly fresh, so it's not gonna dry on you. Okay, so the edges, it's what gets a little scary, and that's why I cut this little piece of squeegee so that I can use it to spread it to the corner or to the edge and not have to worry about like the overspill. You also may want to level your piece before getting started so you don't have too much epoxy running to one side and then not having enough on another. Very important. Okay, so right here the entire piece is almost covered, and this is going to self-level on its own once it's done spreading. If you see the epoxy moving too far to one corner, just start pulling it over and you'll be totally fine. So here's where the magic happens. I like to grab the squeegee and just push the epoxy up to the edge, but not to where it falls, because the edge will hold it from falling over. I wish I can grab the camera and bring it over to show you, but I don't want to get epoxy on my camera, so you'll just have to trust the process when you do it. You can do this with stickers. I've done it with stickers actually, which is pretty cool. We'll do like a kiss cut of a sticker, and then we'll just lay the epoxy and let it fall all the way to the edge on its own. And if it needs a little push, we'll just grab a business card or something small and move the epoxy over to the edge, like I'm doing right here. And you don't have to rush it. The epoxy gives you enough time to not dry on you and leave you hanging halfway through the project. The one that was difficult was the Charizard because it had more cutouts and the edges were like sharper. Alright, my friends, it's getting a little intense here because I want to record as much as I can and show you how I get close to the edge, but it's difficult. I'm done from that corner all the way to this half of his foot, and we're still going. So whenever you want to get close to the edge, you can just grab some epoxy and push it over. It's okay, don't worry about it. Don't think that you're gonna be low on some spots and high on others. We're still early on this, so we have a lot of time before the epoxy starts drying. And like I said, it's going to self-level. It's very liquidy, very runny, so that's gonna help. Don't feel bad if you feel like you went too deep to scrape it over to the edge, because it's always gonna come down and settle again on its own. The worst thing about this is not trying it, so who cares if you mess it up? That's how I feel. You feel me? Okay. If you ever go too far or too close to the edge and it starts spilling over, just grab the squeegee and scrape it back up. It's not like you're gonna create like a waterfall effect or anything where the whole thing is gonna come off the piece and you're gonna lose all the epoxy from that little area. It's not a big deal. It's a big deal if you never try it. Okay, we're looking pretty good. That was the first half. Now let's go ahead and continue. The second half is a little bit harder for me because I'm right-handed, so I can't really see if my hand is blocking it. So I'm gonna finish it with my left hand. I'm gonna turn the camera off, and when I'm done, I'm gonna turn it back on so I can show you when I'm airing out the bubbles from the epoxy, and you can see the final result before it cures. Good. So let me grab the camera. Sorry, I wasn't recording you guys. All right, so here, it's tough to see it, but the whole piece is covered in epoxy all the way around. The edge is pretty much done. I think I did a pretty good job. I used all 500 grams of epoxy. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go grab the heat gun, take it outside, blow it with the air gun, turn it on for a little bit, make sure all whatever dust is on there can fall off, plug it in, and I'll bring it in so I can get those bubbles out of here. Give me a second, I'll be right back. All right, we just finished getting all the bubbles out. I'll do the best to show you here that there's no bubbles. It's kind of hard. Thankfully there's no reflection on the epoxy, but I can show you. Let me turn on the light, maybe that'll help. You can kind of see the light bouncing around. So that is the epoxied Cubone bone. It looks good, the edges look good. I don't think anything is gonna pull back from this point. So what I'm gonna do now is just let it sit for 2 to 3 days. I like to leave it 3 minimum, and come back and put the backing so we can hang it. So since we're done here, I like the edges, there's no bubbles. Let's show you the other two pieces that I've done and let me know what you think. Yeah, being in there sucks, especially with this weather right now. All right, so now that we're finished here, we're gonna tape this down, actually with the magnets. Make sure that it's nice and tight. Grab the second magnet. Pull this down. There it is. So now we know that's gonna be a little bit more dust free than it would be if it was out here where we're screen printing. And that's the whole reason why I did that, because I know that we're over here running shirts, moving things around, kicking dust up and down, and that entire thing is closed in with tape, and then we have the whole plastic hanging down and pressed down with the magnets. So that's it for today. We're gonna show you the last two pieces, the first two that I did when I started doing this, and we're outie. Here's a little quick preview of the Maverick for those who are curious. I started sanding it down, so starting to look okay. I did the two fenders, the hood, and I finished this door today. So I'm currently on this back fender right here. It's been a challenge, but we're getting it done. I have to make sure that when I leave, I know for a fact that all my flashes are unplugged, because you don't want to be at home and be double guessing if you turn them off or not, because then you have to come back and it's very scary. Okay, looks like everybody's gone. From here you can see the reflection from the two pieces. There's a lot of light, but there's one of them that's Charizard, so everybody knows. It's everybody's favorite. And here's the Jordan 4s. Those came out pretty cool. I asked Laura to add the drip to them, and like I said, these are epoxied as well. So is the Charizard, and like I mentioned earlier, the Cubone's already sold, but I'm still gonna hang it here before they pick it up, just so we can see more pieces hanging. And as time goes, I'm probably gonna hang more. We do have one that a customer requested. It was for El Güero's barbershop, so we're gonna do one for him so he can put it at his shop, which he loved when he saw these. He came into the shop. I sell them for 150 bucks, so if you guys want a custom one, I hope that you're local, because I wouldn't want to ship that stuff, but we definitely can. It just has to be very well packaged. Obviously it's 150 for the piece and whatever the shipment cost. So there you guys go. Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. We are doing pretty good on the subscriber count. Oh, and before I let you go, I want to mention that we've been doing pretty good on generating revenue on our YouTube channel. So let me just log in here. Well, let me do it this way. Let me log in here so you can see how much money we've gathered. We are at $75.64. Progress towards your next payment. Payment minimum is $100. So I will not get that money until I get $100, which is looking pretty good here for the rest of the month. So what I'm gonna do with that money, since it comes from you guys, from your support, I'm gonna do something to give it back. I don't know how. I did this in the past. We were gonna collaborate with some friends in our YouTube community, but it ended up not happening. So this time I'm gonna do it myself. I'm gonna figure out how to use this money to give it back to the community, whether it's on giveaways here on YouTube. Hopefully in the future we start generating more money, and I'll leave a link below if you guys want to support. So please subscribe if you haven't. That's gonna help, bring in more revenue so we can help out. Comment if you watch the videos on the regular, even if it's an emoji, everything helps with the algorithm. Hit that like, the bell notification. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you can, share it to your Facebook. That's also very helpful. Thank you guys very much. We'll see you guys on the next one. Deuces.